Welcome, I Don't Belong Here by D.E. Lybbert, Part 1. January 27th, 2010. I want to start something new. I got this empty book at a special event the hospital put on for all the patients. It's one of the old record-keeping books left over from the time of typewriters. They probably found it in a dark and stale corner I've never seen since I'm on this locked ward. The hospital has a museum about itself. I went through it once before a guy I knew escaped and everything was made more restricted and secure. In it there are yellowing black and white photos of past patients. They look like they had secrets they didn't know they should keep. I think I'll put all of my old writing into a box and have it sent down to the property room in a different dark and stale corner. Hopefully I can manage to write in an uplifting way from now on. I've been here at the hospital permanently for 11 months so far. Time definitely goes by faster here than jail. I was there for about 2.5 years going through all those evaluations while everyone was trying to figure out what was going on with me. I don't want to say things that haunt me anymore. In jail, I got really religious a few times and tried hard to believe like everyone else seems to be able to. Now reading back on those times is strange, like I was trying to say a magic spell. I think I'm spiritual rather than religious, like I've heard other people say. Religiousness feels like make-believe to me, like a lot of things in life. What I'm writing right now probably will too. I find that the things I write in my journal seem normal enough as I write them, but as life goes on a while longer, they become strange and predictable. Or like they should have been predictable enough to not bother saying. A good way to describe it is how Christmas music sounds fine when it's Christmas, but like some kind of weird nightmare when it's not. I like the word resonate, even though it's also used a lot when people talk about spirituality. Sometimes I read things that resonate with me, like lately, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's kind of funny, the more I like a book, the more likely it is I'll give it away. It's not an altruistic thing. It's almost like having it is too much of a responsibility. I gave it to my brother the last time he came to visit. I'm glad that he is spiritual too. We grew up in a Mormon family. Sometimes he uses psychedelics now, but he doesn't seem lost like I was. I shouldn't be paranoid just because my own adolescence turned into a kamikaze. Most people are different than me. I actually used to think about being a motivational speaker someday. I was the most hopeful and optimistic I've ever been while I was in jail. I don't know if it's safe to say yet, but I hope my past will make me a more interesting person eventually. Kind of like how characters and stories are more interesting when they are a mix of good and bad things, but can still be forgiven by the audience somehow. I know becoming interesting probably seems like a strange ambition. One time someone told me I have a very eclectic personality. I didn't know what they meant for a long time. My 24th birthday is next month. For a while now I haven't really liked my birthday being a big deal. I feel like my birthday had become more about people trying to find a way of saying happy birthday that didn't emphasize how lost I was and how little they could do about it. It's easier to celebrate my birthday with people who don't really know me, like all the people I'm here with. My mom and brother are coming to visit. There's a visitor room here so we don't have to talk through glass anymore. They have to go through a metal detector though, and everything they bring has to be inspected. The staff have to make sure visitors don't bring weapons, drugs, pornography, or recording devices. I'm not interested in the first three, but it sucks that I can't have a tape recorder for making music. That's why I've been saving up for a drum machine. It can't record audio, but I'll be able to program drum beats to play bass to. So since it'll be my birthday, I asked my mom to make up the difference for the drum machine, and I'll just keep sending money home until I cover it. I have over half of it saved up for so far. Today I called my brother and asked him to ask my mom if she would do that right away so they could bring it when they come to see me. My mom is deaf, that's why I have to ask my brother to pass messages. I hate having to be needy. I made it impossible for my brother to not tell me they already got it. One year, I was out all night on Christmas Eve looking for weed. That was the Christmas Eve my friend locked his keys in the truck at 1:30 in the morning in the parking lot of the dealer's apartment complex. We were trying to jimmy the lock open with the antenna, and a cop drove by and saw us. My friend had the weed in his pocket that we bought with our Christmas money. To put up my share, I had to trade a gift card for cash because I couldn't be trusted with cash by my family. The cop asked us what we were up to and made sure we weren't trying to break into someone else's truck. He searched us. He patted my friend down, and when he felt the weed, he said, "Looks like you're celebrating Christmas early." He didn't ask to have it or give my friend a ticket or anything. He just helped us get the keys out of the truck. We drove away with the antenna reattached and shaped like a candy cane. Anyway, I slept in Christmas morning. My family were finally able to wake me up in the afternoon so they could watch me open my presents. They had already opened theirs. It turned out I had the most presents out of everyone. What I'm getting at is I didn't get any presents for anyone else. I still don't understand why they didn't seem to be upset with me. That's kind of what made it so bad. I mean, that didn't register with me at the time, but I can see it now. Even my dad had stopped getting mad at me or talking to me by then. He had already made his one last attempt to re-spiritualize me, as he said. That was back before my best friend's parents helped send me to a really nice boarding school in Canada. I think my dad just wanted to feel like he did everything he was supposed to. After a few months of being here and doing therapy groups at the treatment mall, I made a scarf for my mom in a crochet group. It was burgundy. I finished it and gave it to her the first chance I had, even though it wasn't her birthday or Christmas. She didn't seem as happy about it as I hoped she would, but that's my fault. I can't blame her for being suspicious of all my progress. I make money here by doing haircuts and selling necklaces made out of embroidery thread. I learned how to make the necklaces in jail out of string made from tube socks and dyed with colored pencil lead. That made it so I could afford coffee from the commissary. Coffee is a very important part of living in jail. Anyway, I'm not supposed to do this here at the hospital. They are strict about trades and transactions between patients. That's what they call it when people buy and sell cigarettes, coffee, and soda. It's because some people will take advantage of other people. I understand that because I've seen it. I started by letting people pay me whatever they thought a haircut was worth, but I found out that people would give me too much that way. I don't want it to look like I'm extorting anyone. So instead of telling them that, I just ask for $2 and stop myself from saying anything that suggests a hope for a tip. People seem pretty happy about $2 haircuts. They can also feel good giving a tip if they want to, without any guilt from me. Plus, everyone hates the hospital's haircut person anyway, even though hospital haircuts are free. Her name is Angel, and she loves the drama that tends to go on here, given the nature of psychiatric hospitals. It was so funny. One time, before I got my own clippers to cut my own hair, I worked up the courage to ask her to touch up some spots she missed when she shaved my head. She made a frustrated noise and said, "You people are so picky." I also saved up some money so I could buy my brother this really cool poster. The poster is of this awesome painting called The Cycles of Birth and Death. It's about reincarnation. I have a black and white copy of it on my bulletin board. I found it in the inside cover of a book given to me from a Hare Krishna monk years ago on the street in Victoria, British Columbia. It was called The Journey to Self-Discovery. I read that book and became a vegetarian. It talked about how wars are caused by the karma of reincarnated cows and the humans who slaughtered them. I became vegetarian in the panicky way I do things sometimes, when something impacts me or changes my mind. Same thing as when I got religious in jail. I'm still vegetarian and I still think that's good, but I don't let myself get so carried away by books anymore. I wonder if it's even possible to write or try and believe something without being embarrassed by it in the future. Dramatic things and sentimental things tend to be the worst. I haven't given very many gifts in my life. I've been given a lot and I ask for a lot. I go through phases where I ask for things I need or want and then feel guilty for having to depend on others for help. I used to have a shameless sense of entitlement until I destroyed everything and discovered how important love is. My best friend's family tried to give me a better life than the one I had at home and put up half the money for a $30,000 a year boarding school for 2 years. The scholarship covered the other half. I didn't actually earn that scholarship as much as I said I did to all the people I left behind when I went away to Canada for school. I like to believe it was because I was really good at English, but I just didn't understand what 85th percentile means. Looking back, I can see that I was more or less delusional for most of the second year at the boarding school. Even though I didn't know what I was really dealing with at the time, I went to the school counselor for someone to talk to. I mostly ended up talking about my dad. She seemed to just feel sorry for me and tell me how special she thought I was. Now that I think about it, she's the one who first introduced me to that book, The Power of Now. I didn't read it then, but I can't believe I didn't remember that. We ended up getting too close. She became the only one I really talked to. Other than that, I started keeping to myself more and doing drugs as much as possible. I used everything available, like marijuana and alcohol, of course, but also the ADHD medication of a kid in grade 10, cough syrup, stolen motion sickness pills from the rugby team's medical kit, and I even snorted sleeping pills too. Nobody could figure out what was going on with me. I didn't even know. I wanted to leave school early, be a famous novel writer, and live homeless voluntarily. So I was given huge opportunities and didn't deliver on them. I still don't know how I can ever make up for that, but I want to learn the lesson. I don't know how my best friend's family feel about it. We've never talked about it. Maybe someday his dad will talk to me about the bigger picture and I'll know where I stand. My real dad never talked to me like that either. He always seemed to just talk about the end times and how soon he thought the second coming of Jesus Christ was going to happen. I still pray most days and usually find myself apologizing and saying thank you over and over again. I don't know what else to say. I apologize for my failure and give thanks to God for taking it easy on me. Some people make it seem like that's how it's supposed to work. As unusual as reincarnated cows waging war sounds, I believe in karma, and with karma, I also believe in reincarnation. It can't all happen in one lifetime. I think this is how God can punish and also be merciful. I have to believe everyone makes it home, but I also believe consequences shouldn't be escapable. Wouldn't Satan be the ultimate prodigal son? I didn't mean for that to sound like a joke. One of the medication nurses here named Zeke says that believing in Jesus Christ will be considered a mental illness by the time the DSM-6 comes out. It's not that he agrees with that. I'm pretty sure he believes in Jesus Christ. A lot of the time when I go to the window to get my medications, he's talking about God and the Old Testament prophets and Revelation. He's often writing in a notebook while he does his job and has different translations of the Bible pulled up on his work computer. I wouldn't be surprised if he secretly thinks he's a genius, just like I used to think about myself. Well, I still kind of think that, but now I know that's something I shouldn't tell other people. That's mostly me trying to be funny, because it's so embarrassing to think about it now. I think he could be right about the Jesus thing. I could see it having something to do with a religious preoccupation. I love how The Power of Now portrays some of the words of Jesus. They seem to make more sense. It's like maybe his message was more simple than most people have made it out to be, but also more profound. Maybe it's more about an undeniable experience of God or unconditional love and how that would naturally change the way a person lives and treats others. I don't think Jesus is all about guilt-tripping people into just believing and saying a certain checklist of things if they don't want to go to hell. I know I'm biased, though. I get worried about what the doctors here might think about me. I worry that they might get the wrong idea and come to the conclusion that I'm a psychopath. I've considered whether or not I might be a psychopath and that maybe I'm just such a good one that I've even got myself fooled. I've heard people say that psychopaths don't waste their time worrying about whether or not they are psychopaths. Maybe that explains why I worry so much, like a hypochondriac convinced I have hypochondria. I've known something is wrong with me ever since my grandpa died and I couldn't cry. I mean, I know I was supposed to, especially because I was so close to him, but I couldn't. I was 12 when that happened. It seems like ever since I've never felt like a real person, and everything I do and say feels like a lie. I imagine it's kind of like how it feels for a normal kid when they find out that Santa Claus isn't real, and everyone they trust had been lying to them. The difference is they can get over it and move on with reality. Nothing feels real to me. Actually, that's not as true as it used to be. But I do spend most of my time in social situations just trying to seem natural. I tend to always just try and say the right things and not draw attention to myself in the wrong ways. Other than that, I don't feel like I actually have anything to say. That's why I like writing. They told me that one time when I was a little kid, I found a rusty nail and showed it to my grandpa. I asked him whether or not it was gold. That story always made my family laugh. The last time I saw my grandpa alive, he was in the old folks' home delirious from a stroke. He was speaking gibberish passionately and crying. My uncle told me that in his mind, my grandpa seemed to be reliving a dedication he had given many years ago for a church he had built in Holland. He was trying to speak Dutch, not gibberish. After he died, I was told my grandma had had the doctor stop the medication that was keeping him alive. I didn't understand that at the time. Now I know it's just a difficult decision that families have to make about their loved ones sometimes. I wonder how my grandpa answered the question I asked him about the rusty nail being gold. I hope he told me yes, and I hope that I believed him. Anyway, that seems good for the first entry in a new journal. I'm really looking forward to my mom and brother visiting and getting that drum machine. It's been so long since I've been able to do anything musical. For the last 3 years, I've been cutting pictures out of music equipment catalogs and making collages with paper and toothpaste. I put them up on the walls of my cell next to pictures of my family, and now up on the bulletin board here in my room at the hospital. That's all I can think to write for now.